Okay, guys, another Ameritron video, and this is probably, well, it is probably my favorite amp made by Ameritron ever. The AL1200 would probably be my favorite, but the tube is basically obsolete, so AL82 is probably going to take the cake. Out all the Ameritron amps, AL82, AL80, AL1200, AL1500 are the ones that I would consider my favorite. This is a beast of an amp. To me, it's probably the best two-tube 500Z amp ever made, and I'm very tempted to keep this one. Very well built, has the same transformer in it that the AL1500 has, so you've got some good overhead in it. You're not putting the transformer in a bind. I don't know that I've ever seen a transformer failure on the AL82 or the AL1500 for that matter. Very rugged 500Z. Of course, I'm a big advocate for 500Zs. If somebody's getting their first tube amp, it's one of the tubes that I recommend because they are very, very forgiving. They will take a lot of drive. You can overdrive them and not kill them. Of course, they'll eventually go out like anything else. But just a superb amp. Runs real cool, nice and quiet. Just a monster of an amp. And like I said, this one coming through here, this condition, I'm probably a fool for selling it. I don't know what I'd do with it if I kept it, but I really, really like these AL82s. Like them in the 1500s both, but I'm a 500Z man. Here's a look in the inside, the beautiful 500Zs in there. And maybe towards the end of the video, we'll throw a carrier on it and see how long we can stay on the key before it cherries up. Another reason why this is such a great amp is that it comes with the chimneys on the tubes. They've got enough room in there to run the chimney, which helps the tube run a heck of a lot cooler. You can get long-winded on it. Of course, not all 500Z amps have chimneys. Matter of fact, one that I talk on almost daily doesn't, but I only drive it with like a, 150 watts or something, 180 watts. We'll not drive this one to max output. We're just going to use the same radio that we used to test our AL1500 with, and I've already shown the output of it. It's a all the way 497, does about 50 watts average and about 150 PEP, and we've got about a 25 watt dead key coming out of it. So that's really not enough to show this thing at its max potential, but it's enough to show you that this thing will get down with the program. Our high voltage, we got about 3,600 volts on idle. Doesn't drop down much at all. About 3,400 volts on the key. Just to show you how much plate current we're drawing. Now, each 500Z, if you're running these 500Zs at maximum output, full tilt, to the maximum rating that they'll handle, they can draw a half an amp each, which is going to be that 500 mark up there, would be half an amp. Let's see how much we've got this one drawing. Check. Audio. We're going to call that about 0.65 amps. So again, keep in mind, we're only running this thing at about 65% power output, 70%, something like that, because we're not driving it very hard. Everybody's got different opinions on how much you should drive a 500Z with. I say maximum about 150 PEP per tube, and that'll get you to the maximum rating. If you want to cruise it, loaf it, 100 watts a tube. That's like all day talking. You put 100 watts per tube in. So with this amp, 200 watts would be like the talk all day long and don't have anything to worry about. How much will they do? Typically about 1,500 watts per tube, maximum output, PEP, and about 600 to maybe 700 watts average, somewhere in between. But enough chitter chatter, guys. Let's show you what this thing's all about. I have somebody interested in it. So, it may sell, it may not sell, but it is going to be available for local pickup only. Let's see how it does. Striker 497, we're on average power first. And I've just got a 2,500 watt slug in here, which is my stingiest slug, by the way. See if we can show it there. There we go. 2,500 watt slug. We're going to be looking at the top scale. 500 watt carrier. Hello, audio. About 750 to maybe 800 watts average. My hand's shaking like crazy here holding that camera in position. And here's going to be your PEP right here. Hello, audio. I don't know what you guys want to call that, 2300, 2400, 2350 PEP, but that's pretty good. Not quite the same gain that you get with like a 3CX 1500, but again, keep in mind, the 500Zs can take a lot more drive than the 1500. That 1500 amp, the maximum you'd want to put into it, 200 watts PEP. The maximum I'd recommend running into this is 300 watts PEP. Now, people are going to argue and say, oh God, that's crazy, that's too much, you're going to kill the tubes. That's fine. People can disagree if they want. I've ran 1 tube 500Zs, 2 tube 500Zs, 3 tubers, 4 tubers, 6 tubers, and I've always gone by the rule 125 to 150 watts per tube, and it's never failed me. I think I've replaced 1 tube out of all the 500Z amps I've ever had. I've had 1, and I was driving 200 watts into it, and I just wanted to see how long it would last. It lasted about 6 months. It was a 1 tuber, and I flattened it at about 6 months. So let's just throw a carrier here and see if we can cherry these tubes up. We got a 500 watt carrier, and I would roll it up even higher if my radio would key more, but we're only putting 25 watts in, so let's see what we got here. We are keyed up. And what we're looking for is to see how long, of course I'm modulating a little bit, I'm cheating, but to see how long it takes to cherry these tubes up. And a lot of people will tell you that these tubes aren't even talking good until they start getting a little red. I think we're starting to see some color over here. Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of red color. And they will light all the way to the top rings. Now, if you get them to the top rings, you might want to lay off a little bit. We're still not lit all the way up. They're getting some color, but they're not going to go all the way up. It's going to take a while because it's got these chimneys on here. So again, having the chimneys on really helps the tube run a lot cooler. I'm not afraid to stay on this thing all day long. 500 watt carrier, this thing will never break a sweat. All right, we'll let off of it. You guys can see it, and then when you let off, let's see how long it takes for it to go back down. I don't know if you guys can see the red in there where the tube's glowing. You can start seeing it already. You can see the color kind of fading back out of it. Tube cooling back off. Yep, just a dim glow now. Almost back to no color at all. One on the right's still got a little bit of color left in it, not much. But that's it, guys. Look, I'm 500Z obsessed. I love glass tubes. I've got a stack of 4-1000s and 3-1000s next to the 500Z, my favorite tube ever made. Excuse me. I always keep one in line. Whether it's a 1 tuber using as a driver, 2 tuber, 3, 4, whatever. Always keep a glass amp in line. Again, probably my favorite amp ever made by Ameritron. Like I said, this one, the AL1200, the AL1500, and the AL80, A, B, whatever. Super nice amps. All right, guys, hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think. Ameritron AL82. We're just tickling this thing. 150 watts PEP going in, 50 watts average. It'll take 100 watts average, 250 to 300 PEP all day long. All right, guys, thanks. Rooster and 10. See you, bye.